We view generative AI as a classically disruptive force in, the Clayton Christensen innovator's dilemma sense. We feel we're only the very, very start of how it's going to be impacting engineering. And because we feel this is going to profoundly change the way software consulting, like what Lineate does, is performed, we have mandated inside our company to use AI at every step of the development process. And so we've come up with a list of, 14 key pieces of how a software engineering firm like ours, which is really a product leadership. We're not just putting in software bodies. We're a product leadership software engineering firm here at Lineate. And we have identified the 5 key ones we want to start with. Of those 5, the ones where we've really had the most benefit and the most success are AI enhanced coding, which, a lot of people talk about GitHub Copilot, but we do it in a specific way where we have essentially put every engineer using this ends up becoming essentially a team lead overseeing AI coders as well as their own code. And we've seen dramatic improvement when used properly. We've also seen sort of more junior engineers generate a lot of problematic stuff, but this was a learning experience. When used properly, we've been able to see dramatic increase in getting features or releases out the door, especially in areas that may have required in the past different people with different kinds of specialties. It sort of makes everyone more of a full stack engineer. That's one area. The second area that I was frankly surprised how well it worked is in test automation. So in the projects using generative AI, our test automations are essentially written in English, and it has 2 major advantages. One advantage is the automations themselves are a lot less brittle. So for example, in the past, we might define in our test automations how a user interface ought to look. And then when someone makes a change to the user interface, which is constant because our customers are constantly pivoting and iterating on their designs and the goals of their projects. But when the interface would change in the past, our tests would break and need to be rewritten. Now, by describing them using English language and using generative AI, we can describe what ought to happen, what elements ought to be on the page, and the tests themselves are resilient to the sort of day-to-day changes that have the same effect. It's been a dramatic improvement. I was very surprised by it. The other great thing in QA is by writing our tests in QA, our test plans are not only much easier to maintain and document and share with the customer, they essentially have converged into the same document effectively. They're actually separate documents, but it's the same data that generates both, which essentially creates a self-documenting plan that we share with our customers. Our customers come in. The purpose of QA is not just to push buttons, but to examine the applications we're producing, try and find areas where they may go wrong or edge cases that might not have been considered, and then check them. And by sharing them back with our customers in a very, very transparent way, we're able to, zero in on product decisions that might be, I don't want to say poorly conceived, but not fully conceived because the product definition evolves with the development effort. And so this has really improved that as well.